Pretty grand, eh?
Santa Claus Is Comin' to Town wasn't just a cheerful stop-motion Christmas special. It was a fragile handmade production balanced on melting foam snow, exhausted animators, and tight network deadlines. Not a cozy holiday card, but a logistical puzzle where one wrong move could shatter weeks of work. Models cracked, lights overheated, glue failed, and entire scenes had to be rebuilt overnight. And out of that chaos came 15 wild facts about Santa Claus Is Comin' to Town. Stories about risks, creative battles, and quiet innovations that changed holiday television forever. And one bonus fact that almost erased the special entirely. Stay with me and keep watching. Fact number 15. The film is built on some of the most physically fragile puppets Rankin-Bass ever used. Unlike earlier specials, these characters rely on thinner wire armatures and softer facial foam to allow more expressive smiles and singing mouth shapes. That decision gives the film warmth, but it also creates constant danger. Every movement risks tearing foam or snapping joints. Animators work under hot studio lights that slowly soften glue and warp materials. What audiences do not know is that several puppets collapse mid-shot and have to be stabilized with hidden pins pressed into the snow sets. It is not magic, it is emergency engineering, not carefree animation but constant triage. Each second of finished footage requires hours of repairs between frames. The cheerful movements on screen are born from a process where nothing is stable and every gesture feels like a gamble. That vulnerability is part of why the characters feel alive. Fact number 14. Kringle's design almost derails the production. Early versions make him too tall, too thin, and strangely unsettling when animated. The beard looks stiff. The face feels distant. Network executives worry he does not look friendly enough for children. Rankin-Bass responds by redesigning him multiple times mid-production. Heads are resculpted, bodies shortened, and new fabric costumes stitched by hand. This is not a cosmetic tweak. It forces animators to reshoot completed scenes because proportions no longer match. What audiences never see is the tension this causes in the studio. Schedules tighten, budgets stretch. But the softer, rounder Santa becomes the emotional anchor of the film. Not a mythic figure, but a relatable man, shaped by kindness and struggle. The final design becomes the template for animated Santas for decades. That warmth comes from risk and revision, not certainty. Fact number 13. The voice cast records lines before animation begins, but the emotional tone changes during production. Fred Astaire's narration as S.D. Kluger feels gentle and reassuring, yet animators begin pushing his performance darker and more reflective through visual staging. Shadows grow longer, camera angles lower. The world of Sombertown feels oppressive. This is intentional. The filmmakers want the story to feel earned, not sugary. What audiences do not realize is that this tonal balance sparks debate behind the scenes. How dark is too dark for a Christmas special? Rankin-Bass chooses restraint. Not despair, but contrast. Joy matters more when it emerges from control and fear. Burgermeister Meisterburger is not funny because he is loud. He is funny because he is cruel and rigid. That edge gives the story weight. It teaches kindness through opposition, not decoration. Fact number 12. The musical numbers are designed to hide technical limitations. Stop-motion singing is notoriously difficult because mouth movements can look mechanical or eerie. To solve this, the filmmakers lean into rhythm and staging. Characters often sing while walking, marching, or interacting with props. Movement distracts the eye. It feels natural. What viewers do not know is that some songs are animated with fewer mouth changes than usual, relying on head tilts and body language instead. Not realism, but illusion. The most famous songs succeed because they feel conversational, not theatrical. That choice influences future Rankin-Bass productions and even later television animation. Music becomes a storytelling tool rather than a spectacle. The songs do not stop the plot. They carry it. That subtle integration is why these numbers linger in memory long after flashier holiday tunes fade. Fact number 11. The story quietly challenges authority in a way unusual for children's television in 1970. Burgermeister represents arbitrary rule, fear of change, and obsession with control. Kris does not defeat him with force. He outgrows him. What audiences did not consciously register is how radical that message is during an era of social upheaval. The film argues that joy, kindness, and creativity are not childish traits, but forms of resistance. This theme worries network standards reviewers who prefer clear moral lessons. Rankin-Bass keeps the message but softens the edges with humor and song. Not rebellion, but evolution. By the end, Burgermeister fades rather than falls. The world moves on. That idea gives the special its lasting relevance. It is not about winning. It is about becoming better. And that lesson quietly shapes generations of viewers. Fact number 10. The snow itself becomes a production nightmare. What looks like soft powder on screen is actually a mix of baking soda salt and finely ground foam. Under hot lights, it yellows, cracks, and clumps. Animators must constantly replace it between frames, sometimes every few seconds. This slows production to a crawl. What audiences never know is that entire sets are rebuilt overnight because the snow loses consistency and ruins continuity. And right here, go ahead and like and subscribe, because this kind of behind-the-scenes madness is hidden under every cozy holiday classic you think you know. Not winter magic, but constant maintenance. The illusion works because the crew refuses to compromise texture, even when it costs them sleep. That commitment gives the film its tactile realism. You can almost feel the cold. That sensation is manufactured through exhaustion, not comfort. Fact number 9. The character of Burgermeister Meisterburger walks a fine line between comedy and menace. His exaggerated movements are not just for laughs. They are carefully animated to feel rigid and mechanical. His joints move sharply. His posture never relaxes. Animators deliberately restrict his range of motion compared to other characters. What audiences do not realize is that this physical stiffness mirrors his worldview. Rules over joy, control over kindness. This is not accidental. Rankin-Bass uses animation itself as storytelling, not dialogue but movement. When Burgermeister finally exits the story, he does not change. He is simply left behind. That visual choice reinforces the theme that cruelty calcifies while compassion adapts. It is subtle, it is smart, and it proves how deeply intentional the animation really is beneath the whimsy. Fact number 8. The film pushes television stop motion further than networks expect. Many scenes use more complex camera moves, including slow pans and layered depth. This is dangerous territory. One bump ruins the shot. What audiences never see is the meticulous logging process. Animators document every millimeter of movement on call sheets so shots can resume after breaks. One mistake means starting over. This level of precision is closer to feature film production than holiday television. Not simple animation, but engineering. These techniques influence later specials and raise expectations for what televised animation can look like. The film quietly helps legitimize stop motion as cinematic, not novelty. That shift matters. It opens the door for more ambitious storytelling in a medium once dismissed as gimmick-driven. Fact number 7. The North Pole sequences are intentionally warmer in color than earlier Rankin-Bass specials. This is not a coincidence. Designers adjust lighting gels and paint tones to make Santa's world feel emotionally safe. What audiences do not know is that this choice comes after early test footage feels too cold and sterile. The filmmakers want contrast. Sombertown is gray-controlled and harsh. The North Pole glows. Not realism, but emotional geography. This visual storytelling helps children intuitively understand where joy lives. It also pushes the studio toward more expressive color palettes in future productions. The warmth you feel watching these scenes is engineered. It is psychological, and it proves how much thought goes into feelings we assume are effortless. Fact number 6. Time pressure shapes the final cut more than anyone admits. Network air dates are immovable. When production falls behind, certain transitional scenes are shortened or removed. What audiences never realize is that pacing becomes a survival tactic. Editors tighten scenes not for rhythm but necessity, yet the film benefits. The story feels brisk, purposeful. Not bloated, but focused. This accidental efficiency becomes part of its charm. Sometimes limitations sharpen storytelling. The crew does not have time to overthink. They commit, they move forward, and the result feels confident. That urgency is baked into the film's DNA. You are not watching something leisurely, crafted over years. You are watching something wrestled into existence under pressure. Fact number 5. Mrs. Claus exists because the story needs emotional ballast. Early drafts focus almost entirely on Kris and the conflict with authority. Something feels missing. Test viewers respond to the adventure but not the heart. Rankin-Bass quietly expands Jessica's role during production, not as a side character but as a stabilizing force. What audiences did not know is that several of her scenes are added late and animated under extreme time pressure. Her presence reframes Kris not as a lone rebel but as someone capable of partnership and care. Not just defiance, but devotion. This shift grounds the fantasy. It turns Santa from a symbol into a person. The romance is gentle, deliberate, and earned. That emotional warmth becomes essential to the film's staying power. Without her, the story feels clever. With her, it feels human. That change saves the film from becoming hollow spectacle. Fact number 4. The Winter Warlock is one of the most technically risky characters ever attempted by the studio. His early scenes require complex facial transitions from menace to warmth. Stop motion struggles with subtle emotion. Too much movement looks grotesque. Too little looks dead. Animators solve this by using lighting and posture rather than constant facial changes. Shadows soften, his shoulders lower, his hands open. What audiences do not consciously register is that his redemption is animated more than spoken, not words but body language. That approach makes the transformation believable rather than abrupt. It is one of the earliest examples of emotional arc conveyed through restrained motion in television stop motion. The result feels sincere, not forced. The Warlock does not flip a switch, he melts, and that quiet transformation becomes one of the film's most affecting moments. Fact number 3. The special quietly standardizes Santa mythology in American pop culture. Flying reindeer toy workshops, gift delivery routes, and even Santa's moral code are solidified here. What audiences did not realize is how fragmented these ideas are before the broadcast. Different regions tell different versions. This film unifies them, not through authority, but repetition. Annual airings turn creative choices into tradition. The narrative becomes memory. That influence extends far beyond television. Merchandise, books, and later films echo these choices whether intentionally or not. Rankin-Bass does not just tell a story. They define one. That cultural consolidation is accidental, but enormous. The film becomes less a special and more a reference point. When people imagine Santa today, they often picture something closer to this version than any written source. That is legacy through exposure, not design. Fact number 2. The voice performances are recorded in isolation, which creates unexpected challenges. Actors are not playing off each other. Timing must be imagined. What audiences never know is that animators later shape performances through visual rhythm. Pauses are emphasized, reactions stretched. Silence is given weight. This gives conversations a lived-in quality despite being assembled from separate recordings. It is not dialogue-driven realism, but editorial alchemy. The process blurs authorship. Is the performance coming from the actor or the animator? The answer is both. That collaboration becomes a hallmark of Rankin-Bass productions. Performance is shared. The human voice meets mechanical motion and something new emerges. That hybrid quality gives the film its uncanny charm. You're always aware it is made, yet you still believe it. Fact number 1. The film almost does not air. A late production delay threatens the broadcast window. Missing the season would mean financial disaster. Entire crews work around the clock. Animators sleep on studio floors. Repairs are rushed. Shots are approved with fingers crossed. What audiences never see is how close this special comes to disappearing before it begins. Not rejected, but mistimed. When it finally airs, it succeeds not because it is perfect, but because it exists. That fragility becomes part of its identity. Every annual rewatch is a reminder of how easily cultural touchstones can vanish. This is not inevitability, it is survival. And that knowledge makes the film feel precious. You are watching something that barely made it. Bonus fact: After broadcast, the original puppets deteriorate rapidly. Foam decays, glue fails, fabrics rot. Preservation standards do not yet exist for television animation. By the time archivists recognize the cultural value, many assets are gone or unusable. What audiences assume is carefully stored history is often loss. The film survives not through objects, but through memory and broadcast copies. That reality reshapes how studios treat animation archives in later decades. This special helps teach the industry what is worth saving. Its physical form fades. Its emotional imprint does not.